Heavy.
So yeah, we'll kick it off then, mate. Episode number
Right.
20 of the Over the Hill podcast, and a special guest today is the one and only man like Max Britton, aka Max Flexer, as we used to call him back in the day. Got him on the podcast today because a running theme of the podcast is underground radio, is pirate radio, but regular listeners to the show and people who've heard the last few episodes will know that Max was a big part in taking, one of the biggest, most legendary pirate stations into a legal station, and we're going to get onto that a little bit later on in the episode. But yeah, he's someone that I kind of go way back with, and we've had some parallels over the years, and haven't spoken to him for God knows how long. So it's good to have you on the show, mate. Thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for inviting me, mate. I'm a pleasure to be here. I'm really glad you invited me.
I didn't realise until I spoke to Outlaw that you were, I knew you were a big part of Flex and the management and stuff. So I didn't realise that you were that ingrained in the actual procedure of becoming legal. So it just made sense to me to have someone on that was that involved in it. Because obviously, I've had Dan on, I've had Henny on, and now to have yourself on is, it's like the Three Kings, mate.
Three King, I don't know about that.
The three non-wise men.
The three non-wise men, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not a big radio person. I'm a listener first and foremost, got involved with Flex probably about 2 years before they got legal, got the license. So, I was just doing bits and bobs there, a lot of audio work, doing the advertisement reels, all the recordings for the DJs, getting them cut up on the website.
So a lot of behind the scenes stuff as opposed to
a
just
lot of behind the
show.
scenes. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you say you're a listener first and foremost. Let's go back to the start for you. What got you into underground music, and what are some of the stations you listened to back in the day when you were young?
It's probably my older brother and my older sister. They used to have like various compilations, albums, not underground, more cheesy sort of really dance music, whatever. Early cheesy rave sort of stuff. But there's one tune in particular, which was Joey Beltram, Energy Flash. And I think I was proper young. I think I was about 11, super young. I remember hearing that and going, what is this? Like, this is crazy. Like, this is mad music. And I think that was the first tune I sort of really got into, and that showed me that sort of style of music. And then from there, it was sort of listening to pirates, would have been Don FM, obviously, trance. But I'm sure there was a station called Planet FM. I might be wrong because it was a long time ago. But definitely Don and trance were the ones for me. More Don, really, because they was local as well from the area. But them two were the big stations for me back then.
It's interesting you mentioned Energy Flash. I've got to shout out Joey Beltram, obviously, but there's a book called Energy Flash, and any real connoisseurs who want to get into the history of electronic music and dance music, I can't remember who wrote it, but if you go on Amazon and search for Energy Flash, there's a book, and I've got it upstairs. It's absolutely fucking fantastic. So I recommend that. Yeah, I recommend that for anyone, mate. It's really, it's about this big as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a comprehensive history of dance music, and literally going back to like the late 70s and early 80s. So yeah, definitely recommend that. Yeah, mate, like living in Southwest London or living around Surrey, like you couldn't not be into Don FM, I think, especially around the early 90s, obviously. As I was talking to Dan about, like, I came around a little bit later, and for me, it was like Flex Flight Delight. Because they were all local, so it's the same thing for all of us, whatever the local stations were at the time. Although back then, like early 90s and even late 90s, you had a much better chance of picking up stations that were a million miles away because there was less on the dial.
Exactly that. Well, I remember my dad had a CB radio. I don't know if you know about them.
Yep.
They used to have them in cars and stuff like that. And I always remember getting the aerial, stripping the cable back, climbing out of my window. Well, not climbing out, leaning out my window, sticking up through the guttering, twisting the end up, sticking it in my tuner, trying to get all the stations. But I couldn't quite get Cool FM.
Yeah.
And I was always annoying. That used to piss me off. And I see people have tapes recording it, and I'm like, I can't get them.
Yeah.
But I used to love all that, man. Flicking through the dial, the old school tuner. Who was I used to listen to on Don? It was Lady A, MCOC. There's a few of them, and I remember listening to your podcast with oh bloody hell, who was it? Was
it a Ricky D one?
It's the Ricky D one. He spoke about the record shop in Wandsworth. You touched on that, and that was Reality Records, and that was the first record shop I went to get the flyers. You know, you're young, you get the flyers, don't you? Put them on your wall, the rest of it. But I remember them being done, and they'd done a dance down there, Be Done or Be Gone.
Yep.
And I remember I was too young to go, man. I was gutted. All the older mates went, you know what I mean? I was like, I can't go. I'm only about 13. I was like, oh, screwing. But
did you ever manage to make it to Team Rage?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I did actually. Yeah, I went to one in Epsom. I didn't go to the one in Kingston, I don't think. But the one in Epsom I went to, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm going to try and get those guys on. Sean and Cole that used to run that, they're old mates of mine. So they've agreed to come on, but one of them lives in the States and the other one still lives in Surrey. So it's like trying to get them both together at the same time differences and everything else. But yeah, hopefully they can come on, because there's so many people, like you're a little bit older than me, Dan, and everyone else, but so many people from around that age group that have been massively influenced by that particular event. And it just seems that everyone I talk to from your generation in particular has memories of going to Team Rage. So I think like,
oh, definitely,
it's really influential for our corner of like pirate history that so many people went to them raves, and that's what ended up making them start their own stations and everything else over the years as well.
Well, I don't think there's anything else, was there? There was Team Rage, and that was it. I don't really remember any other under 18 dances, really. I mean, there was one local one. It's very small scale, called Jungle Juice, I think it was called. Don't know if you've heard of that one. Nah, but I mean, back then there was nothing else. I mean, if you weren't old enough to get into the proper raves, then that's where you went, Team Rage, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, if you weren't fortunate enough to look old as fuck like me, then
well, I had a baby face back then. I wasn't getting no chance.
Well, I was getting into my first clubs at 14. I've looked pretty much the same ever since.
Yeah. Well, I say that there was one club I used to get into when I was like 16, I think I was. It was London Bridge, Happy Jacks. But that was like a house thing.
Yeah.
But how I got into that, I don't know. I really don't. But, so, good days.
Early pirate radio days and influences. Obviously, that leads into yourself becoming a DJ. You mentioned going to the record shops in Wandsworth. How did the transition from listener to actually like, okay, I'm going to get into this sort of come about for you? Or what drove it?
Well, it's a normal thing, wasn't it? Buying records, and then bought myself first pair of decks, which were what were they? What were they? The DLP 1600s. Do you remember them belt drives?
Crap decks, man. Any belt drives.
Do you remember? You could touch the top of them like that. Little touch just would fly off. Bought them. Started mixing whatnot. Then I bought the 1210s. Got into it a bit more deeper. Do you know what I mean? Getting right into it. But then the first radio show I ever done was on Flex. Probably in about 97, I reckon, 98 maybe.
Okay, so it ended up coming full circle for you in the end. So Flex was where you actually got started.
Yeah, it did, yeah. I spoke to a guy called Kappa who used to run it back then, I think. I don't know too much from back then days.
Yeah, Kappa and Easy D originally.
So I remember meeting Kappa down at Rampton, give him a tape. And he's like, yeah, I got a set for you. It was a graveyard. It was like, I can't remember, it was now 2 till 4 or 4 till 6. So it was late. But I was like, yeah, happy days. I got a set on Flex, brilliant. And I remember went down there, and it was at Roehampton, you know, the ones on the stilts.
Yep.
And went down to do the first set. Mate, I couldn't find that studio for love or money. I think it was about an hour late. So yeah, I got there through Kappa. I was on there probably on about a few months. I wasn't there too long. Packed in. It was just too much for that time in the morning for me.
Yeah.
But there was a DJ after, DJ Wobbler, I think his name was. But he used to come down, he used to have bags of beers and all the rest of it. But it was brilliant. It was good times then.
Always was. Whenever you go and do a late radio show, like I started on like a midnight till 2 a.m. Flex, and it was always like, it was never midnight till 2 a.m. It was midnight till like R4. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was no one on after. It was just like, right, just staying here, as you say, a couple of bags full of beers and, you know, whatever South American supplements you want to take with you, and you just end up having a right old time. Do you know what I mean? So after Flex, what happened then? Did you carry on with radio, or was it just more?
No, I didn't really. I stopped. Carried on mixing at home. Didn't really do no radio. And then it's a bit later on, probably like 98, started really getting into production more, making tunes. The tunes were crap, got to be honest with you. But started getting to making tunes about 98. And that was it, really. I just got really more into production. Really interested in the DJ so much. I was just making tunes, learning it, you know, how to make it, how to use the software, whatnot. And that took over really a little bit more for me. I didn't work at the time. I was literally on that computer all the time. I used to be on it from like, I don't know, 8 o'clock in the morning. I wouldn't come off it till 10, 11 at night, 12 at night.
Well, it'd take you that long to load up a file back then.
It would do, yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's got into production a lot more then. You know, I like DJing. I've always loved it, but I've not really been one, right, I really want to push myself. I want to be a DJ. That's what I want to do. It was never that for me. I was enjoyed doing it and playing tunes and playing music, meeting people, having a vibe down at the studio. That was more my kind of thing. I've never wanted it to be a career or, you know, pushed it really hard. So, yeah.
Did you have anything come out in like the late 90s, early 2000s? Did you manage to get anything together decent?
No. I had one tune out in 2001. And that was, well, where was it? I went to Essential Distribution down at Brick Lane.
Yep.
So I went down. There's a guy called, I think his name was Anton. I think his name was. I went down there, met him, played a load of tunes to him, and he was like, "This tune, that tune, I like them, so I take them." I was like, "Fucking hell! What is it? He's going to take the tunes?" I couldn't believe it. So anyway, he took the tunes on. It's a P&D deal, publishing distribution. Took them on, but I was a bit gutted because A&D Sounds in Mitcham. Remember that shop?
Vaguely, yeah. Just when I was a kid.
Yeah. So I said to Roger in the record shop, I said, "Oh, Roger, have you seen my tune yet?" He goes, "No, they ain't shown it to me." So I was a bit like, well, they've took the tune on, they pressed it up, they put the money into it. They're not fucking showing no in the tune at the record shops, really. So I always remember I went down there and I went to the warehouse below, had all the storage down there and whatnot. And I said to the guys down there, I said, "All right, mate." I said, "I've come down to get some tunes of mine for promotional use." He said, "Oh, what's the cat number?" I said, "Oh, RTR 001. He went, "All right," typed it in. He said, "How much do you want?" I went, 250. He went, "Oh, 250? Fucking that's a lot, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah, I've got a lot of mail out to do." I'd end up going around the shops myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a shocking tune, man. Let's try and forget that one. Awful.
I was going to ask if it's...
Mate, it's awful. It's terrible. Please don't, no.
What is it, garage?
It was garage, yeah, two-step garage kind of thing. Bait as you like. Yeah, it was crap, but you know, you learn and you know, it's at the time it was a massive achievement for me. I loved it. It was brilliant. But you know, as you get older and better at what you do, you listen back, and you're like, oh, it's a bit cringy, do you know what I mean? But
yeah.
Was
it always more of a garage thing for you or more of a house thing?
Back then it was always garage, yeah. I mean, I was jungle from day dot original.
Yeah.
92, 93, jungle, drum and bass, whatever. But then I went on to the garage, and then yeah, I loved garage. I mean, up until about, I don't know, 99, I started flaking out of it. Really, didn't really like what was going on. I liked it, you know, the Zig sort of stuff come about and all that kind of more hyper stuff, which I still like. But I'm much more like, I'm more of the 95, 96, 97 kind of man when it comes to garage.
Yeah, it just got a little bit oversaturated after two-step, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think the quality control went a bit downhill. There's a lot of crap coming out, and you know, there's a lot of good tunes as well. But yeah, I mean, garage. Yeah, I always love garage, but it's only them sort of years I like the newer stuff. It's not really getting me now.
No. So what about in terms of DJing and stuff? Them early 2000s. Obviously, you're trying to get records out, not quite going where you might want it to go. Let's put it that way. What was happening for you on the DJ and radio front around that time, or was it strictly production for the next couple of years?
No, I jumped to radio. I went on Delight for a while. I was on Delight for a couple of years. I think I was on there. Me and a few other mates, bit of a crew thing going on, 2 DJs, 3 MCs, that kind of thing. So we've done that for a while. I was on Delight for quite a bit, actually. And
what time was your show? Do you remember?
Bloody hell. Was it Saturday
You
night?
got to graduate from the graveyards by then, bro. Fucking hell.
Oh, no. It was still late. I think it was 12 till 2 on a Saturday, I think it was, if I remember. I remember getting there. I could never get in the studios on Covert Road, Clapham. and could never get in the studio. All the time it's happened. It's to climb over the bloody gates to get in. And but the light was good. There was a guy on before us, Infamous. He was like a reggae guy and whatnot. He was good. But the light was good. It's a good part of my history. Enjoyed it there.
Yeah, it was a big part of my childhood growing up. Like, I just remember, obviously, Solid Sundays was a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And then, like, Nicky S and Nike, when they were on there back in the day, like, they used to absolutely batter it. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, they were like local legends back in the day. Like, just literally just from their Delight FM show. And as I said, I think I told the story on the podcast once before that I actually ended up going there. I think I was about 14, 15. And I had a mate who lived in Battersea. Also, I lived in Southfield, so I knew quite a few people anyway. And we ended up, it was in like almost like one of these sort of building containers, you know, like where they put like where they tend to build like buildings.
Yeah, that was it. Culvert Road, no?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, right by the estate on the corner, sort of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, we ended up going there, and I didn't know. Like, I used to listen to like all kinds of like pirate radio. I loved Delight. I love Flex. I love Flight. I loved like anything like Upfront back in the day. Like, my dad was a DJ, so I was like fully into it. And I remember going there with this geezer. I always say his name because it's like, to be honest, I don't even fucking like him anymore. But but I remember him saying like, "Oh yeah, no, yeah, my brother's got a draw. Like, we'll go get a draw." Because all we used to do on a fucking Friday was just go and smoke weed at 14. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course you do. So you do at that age.
Yeah, we ended up going down there, and we went in. And I see all these like music of people DJing and that, and I was like, fucking hell, what's going on here? Like, so just didn't really sort of clock at the time. And then I left, and yeah, on the way back, I was like, well, what's going on in there then? Like, what's your brother doing? He's like, oh, he plays on Delight. That was Delight FM. And I was like, what? Like, that was my first sort of experience of like, what the fuck do you mean that's a radio station? It's like a tin. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Delight was funny because you used to get a lot of kids that are hanging about outside the studio on the street.
Yeah,
because they knew what it was. Yeah, because of like So Solid Crew and the rest of it on there. You know, you'd come out, there'd always be kids hanging about. What's going on over there? Looking over. Who's that? But Delight was good, man. Enjoyed it on there.
It's just bait as fuck, innit?
Yeah, it was. It was bait. It was very bait.
It's one thing. I've had a couple of messages about the podcast, like where people were saying, "Oh, like, you're talking about this and blah blah blah, and that location and things like that." And it's like, listen, there's some incidents that won't get spoken about on here, but for the most part, everyone, like, it's not uncommon knowledge what goes on. Do you know what I mean? People know.
No, not so.
People fully know. I remember, like, I've done radio shows and people have been like literally people that aren't DJs or anything. They're just people that I know. They're like, oh yeah, no, I'll meet you by a radio studio after your show. And I'm like, how do you know where it is? They're like, bruv, everyone knows where it is.
Yeah, it gets out. It does get out. You can't hold it back. Do you know what I mean? One person sees it or, hears about it. It just spreads like wildfire. It's just one of them things.
Have you ever done a radio show in somewhere that you really, really was not expecting a studio to be?
Yeah, I did do one in a shed in a garden. That was, what station was that now? I can't remember the bloody name of it now.
One up Sutton Common, was it?
No.
Oh, okay.
In a shed. Done one in a base. I can't remember the station, you probably know. I'm terrible, mate, for names and stuff. But the shops at Crystal Palace is in the basement below a shop. Maybe we've done one down there.
Jesus.
That was quite good. But no, I haven't done anything a bit out of the ordinary, really, to be fair, not when it comes to radio.
Yeah, I know someone who set one up in it was only very brief, but it was actually in, like, where like bin sheds are, basically.
Really?
And literally they just took the big wheelie bins out and they were just blending in there for the whole afternoon. So the most legendary one is the story we were talking about of Outlaw on the podcast, which was like when he set it up in like the water tank room at the top of the block. That was
crazy. That's crazy. That's madness. But
yeah,
that's Dan, though. That's Dan.
Yeah, all over.
That's Dan would do that. That's sort of thing he'd do.
But yeah, no, I've definitely been in a kitchen before with a pair of decks in the kitchen. That's the classic one. Where,
yeah, it used to be front rooms, didn't it? I mean, when I went on Flex when it was in Hampton, that was the front room. I've done that. Also, we've done the one when it was in, where was it before that? I think it was after that. It was the Arndale Flats, Wandsworth.
Yeah.
In there. I remember on Christmas Day night, I think Kappa rang me up. I'm sure he did. He said, "Oh, can you do a cover show?" I was all fresh. I was like eager. Do you know what I mean? Christmas Day. I was like, "Yeah, so what? I'll go down there." I said, yeah, mate, I'll come and do it. And I remember it was quite late, and I had to carry my record box home, man, all the way from Wandsworth to Rains Park. Killed me. But I was just so eager then, do you know what I mean? I was like 17, I think I was.
Yeah.
I was just all over it.
Yeah, you would literally, like, back in them days, I had so much get up and go whenever it came to radio. I didn't give a shit.
Mate, and them record boxes, mate, fuck that now. Jesus Christ. Nah, it's not a bit of me.
I remember we walked back one night. We got our first ever booking, me and my mate, and it was a boogie lounge in Epsom. We're talking like I'd played at a couple of other clubs, but it was the first time we'd ever actually been like asked to go and play a set somewhere. And like literally, we'd done all our money. We bear in mind, like 04, we just left high school, bruv. Like we didn't have jobs. Do you know what I mean? We've done all our money on beer, and we've ended up like we've got a record bag on each shoulder. He's got one, I've got one, and we've left Boogie Lounge in Epsom where we got to get back to Wimbledon Chase.
Yeah,
and to get to my pal's house, and we just started walking, bruv. We just started walking. We had loafers on and everything, mate. We we got about, I think we were probably near Stonecourt Hill.
Right.
And all of a sudden a car's pulled up, and it was his cousin and a few of their mates that had also been out, and they were just like, oh yeah, we're going back, do you want a lift? And we were like, fucking hell, where were you like 5 miles ago?
Well, saying about walking places, actually going back to teen rage, I remember when I went to one in Epsom, there was about 4 of us, I think, or maybe 5 of us. We actually walked back from teen rage Epsom to Earlsfield down the train tracks.
Jesus Christ.
And I remember there's a guy called Lee. He was a graffiti artist, bang into it, he was. But I'm sure it was his idea. Oh, we walked down the train tracks. Obviously, you know, he's going on the train tracks doing his graffiti and whatnot. I'm young. I'm like, yeah, come on, and whatever. But walk from Epsom to Earlsfield down the train tracks.
It's probably the quickest route, though, to be fair.
Well, quickest. I don't know about the safest, but mad times, man, mad times.
Yeah, fuck that. But no, I did, like, back in the day, like, it was literally a case of, all right, where's the show? Cool, I'll go and do it. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them ones, and the enthusiasm definitely wanes as time goes on, which I'm sure we'll get into that conversation in a bit. But so from Delight, obviously, you know, big station, closed down probably around 2003, something like that.
Something like that, yeah, around that sort of time.
What were you doing around then?
I can't remember the exact dates. I'm not there for dates, but the next station after that was Image.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was on Image, with me and a guy called John back then. That was when it was, where was it? Acton.
Was that the original Image or the second time around with when it was Ice Cold / Image?
Well, I dealt with Steve Williams, so I'm not too sure about that, to be honest with you. But it was like there for a good, I don't know, a couple of years, 2-3 years, 2 years.
So that was around the same time that I was on there, John Warren, all that sort of crowd.
Yeah.
Mate, that was them times there. Like, I think we at the time sort of, I don't know about you, but I think I definitely underappreciated just how good it actually was.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that phone line used to blow up on it. It was a busy station, really good.
And it was good studio. Like, I don't know if you were there when we had like the first studio, which was on just inside the door on the left-hand side. And it was like, it had the
next
speakers.
to Raw.
Yeah, he had the speakers sort of built into the wall thing, and it was like there was a pipe on the ceiling, and if you touched it, you got an electric shock. Like, it was one of them ones. But like, as far as studios go, I mean, it was stale. Do you know what I mean? It did stink in there. Like, it did get absolutely roasting in there as well.
Oh man, proper.
It sounded good. It was always fairly loud. Do you know what I mean? It was never really an issue. You know, at one point, you know, I mean, me and Eamon, when we started doing our show, we literally used to take CDJs up there to play all the latest stuff, because it was like he had them little silver 100s or 500s.
Oh, don't, it's hard work.
Yeah, and they're just absolutely fucking grief. So we used to take them up there. I remember one DJ, I won't say who it was, but one DJ came.
Come on, James.
The thing is, you know the geezer as well. But he came, actually, he probably wouldn't even mind me telling the story, but basically it was Billy Wiz, right?
Okay.
So Billy came up with Sense and the other MC, Codebreaker, I think it was. And they did a Fathom Audio thing, and he was like, usually he was like using Serato at the time to mix, but doing it on the vinyl. And he was like, do you know what, rather than the ag of like unwiring stuff in a pirate studio, plugging everything in, he's like, I'm just going to do a mix, I'm going to bring the mix, play it on CD, and let them two MC, and we could just chill. And that's how we've done the show, because it was that much less grief trying to set up Serato. Nowadays, setting up Serato in the studio, even pirate wise, would be a piece of I mean, but
of course.
But no, it was a decent little studio. And then obviously we had the rebrand and changed it to Image. And then we had the other studio down the back there next to where Fonty and Bushkin had their studio next door, didn't they? We had the other studio down there. Mate, that was good times, you know. We had events popping off all the time, and that was decent.
It was good times back then. I mean, it's weird. I mean, I have a lot of people on here talk about radio and stuff like that. I've got to be honest with you, I'm not a massive radio person. I don't know the ins and outs of all the stations and, you know, all the stuff about it. I've always just been somebody who plays in there, you know. But listening to people been on your podcast, it's been really good insights. A lot of the stuff, man, it's been really good.
Yeah, it's a lot of people that have listened over the years as well. Like I've had emails from people that have said like, you know, like someone messaged me the other day about Ricky D, and they were just like, that geezer's voice kept me alive during a 3-year sentence in Wandsworth. Like mad things like that, brother. And you just think to yourself, Jesus Christ, it's like it has had as much of an impact on other people as it's had on me. Do you know what I mean? I saw someone on Facebook the other day talking about John in Sidcup. And it's
John in Sidcup.
John in Sidcup has been listening to every station since like the late 90s. Alex in New York's another one.
Alex NYC,
yeah, we've spoken about him on the podcast a few times. Like there's people out there that are like as dedicated to this shit as us without actually being listeners. So yeah, I'm always super stoked to talk about it and to get into it. But obviously, you know, you yourself have played your own part. And yeah, we were on the same station at the same time when it was popping. And what time was your show on there? Because I can't even remember. Was it like 2 till 4 or something like that?
I remember I used to go straight from work. So I think it was a 6 till 8, maybe, I think.
Okay.
Or I think so. I can't really remember now.
Yeah.
It would have been, I'm sure, because I'm coming straight from work. It would have been.
Same as me and Eamon.
Straight there in my work clothes, you know, in the studio.
Exactly the same. I used to come out of King's Cross, like I work in King's Cross. I used to come out, jump on the tube over Shepherd's Bush, and like Eamon used to literally just pick me up on the green, and then we'd just fly down the road. Like, and if ever we got into traffic, boy, it was like a last minute dash to get into the fucking into the studio. Yeah. Every week ringing up listener and pressure, like, boys, don't worry, we're going to be there. Like, be like 1 minute past 6. Don't
worry. Rushing about.
But in that in between time, obviously, you know, in between Delight and Image, it's obviously quite a way away. Although it's randomly enough ended up being on 103 both times, which is quite funny. But in the in between time, were you still working on productions and stuff?
Yeah, I've always worked on music since I started. I've had little breaks here and there. You know, I've had like a little couple of years out, but I've always made beats. You know, regardless of what they've come out or not. I mean, I've got so many tunes I ain't put out, it's ridiculous. But yeah, just always on the beats, mate. Always, all the time, non-stop.
Yeah. So how much further had you progressed from your record that you don't want to speak about from the early 2000s up until the time you're on Image?
I did a lot of it. I was just playing for my own stuff, really. Dub plates and stuff like that. Didn't put anything else out. Just dub plates, and just enjoy making the music. As I say, I didn't take it as serious back then as I do now so much, really.
Yeah.
It was more just for the fun, just the actual sheer love and enjoyment of doing it back then. So yeah, I mean, that was Image, and then got on the house thing.
Yeah, so I was going to bring it up because obviously around the time I remember leaving Image around 2012 myself, early 2012, and I remember sort of at that time you were working with a man like Joe Old School, and you guys, I used to chat to Joe quite a lot. I haven't seen him for ages. Big up Joe if you're listening. Like I haven't caught up with him for a long time, but I used to chat to him a fair bit, and he used to send me a few bits, and then he started sending me your stuff that you two were working on together, and then he was like, yeah, like Grant Nelson's going to put it out on his label.
Oh no, I remember that. Yeah.
Jesus Christ! How did that partnership come about? And you know, what was the deal with everything coming out with Grant?
Do you know what? It's really weird now. I'm trying to think how I got to know Joe. Oh, I got to know. How did I get to know Joe? I mean, it was Joe.
He used to come on Image quite a bit. And he's obviously everyone knows him. Like he's been around for a long time. But he used to come. I think he used to do a lot of shows with Nut Nut and a few other people. Yeah, that's how I always knew him, was just through Image.
I think it just came through through social media, Facebook maybe. So I can't really remember how I got to we actually linked up. He's probably out in a club somewhere, maybe a bar. I don't know. I can't really remember. There was Joe, and there's another friend of his, more his friend of mine, mate of mine as well, Frosty. Don't you know Frosty?
Yep.
And I got quite paddy of them too. We used to meet up, we used to go out, have a drink, whatever. And then, me and Joe got on the music, started making some tunes together. I don't know, he knows quite a few of the old school lot, hence the name probably, I guess. But he we made the tunes, and Joe's more, he would use people he knew to get the tunes signed, really. That was his sort of side of things.
Yeah.
I don't quite know how he got it done with Grant. I don't know. I mean, he must have just sent him the tunes, I guess. Had a chat with him, and he took them on. I mean, the first one was with Matt Jam on solo music. He took the first tune, and then it just went on from there, really. I mean, went from Matt, and then he went to Grant Nelson, took the tune, took the EP, and then it carried on. And it just went really well, really worked well together. You know, both had the same sort of vibe, like the same sort of stuff. And it just went on and on. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, mate. No, some of the stuff that you guys were putting out was really good. And it was at a time where house music was proper booming as well. Like that 2011 to 2014 period, I think, for house music in the UK.
It was.
It was just fucking insane. Like, it was, every rave was busy, like, and it was such a network and a community. And you sort of alluded to it there when you were talking about, like, the way you met Joe was probably at a venue somewhere out and about. It was one of them scenes where, you know, with Image and, you know, with a few other stations or whatever, we always had our own events with various, whatever station you're on, you know, we had Lavish and all that kind of stuff. But you always ended up having different DJs from the station all playing on these same events. So you got to know people, you had networks, and then the house scene was exactly the same. I mean, I've literally, like, I've done a couple of gigs for Joe back in the day, but I've literally walked into, I think he's the person I've bumped into in different raves the most. I've ran into him in Shoreditch.
He's always out. He used to be anyway.
Literally, like, I was out in Shoreditch, absolutely battered with Eamon and a couple of other mates, and we'd literally just come from Vibe Bar in Brick Lane.
Vibe Bar,
we went to another gaff, and it was like a few other house heads that we knew were playing that night, so we were like, yeah, that's still open, we'll go there. Went in there, and Joe's just randomly there, bro, just chilling at a table, just him and his missus in the corner. I walked in, he's like, yes, Jay. I was like, the fuck are you, why are you everywhere I go? Then another time I went to I'm only going back a couple of years now as well, and I hadn't seen him for time. I DJ'd for him, I think 2013, and since then I hadn't caught up with him for about 2 or 3 years. And I went into what used to be where Pasha used to be in Victoria. Obviously, like we had the residency there, so I knew the venue really well. It's now like a food hall. It's doesn't even exist anymore. But they changed it when they closed Pasha down to Cube.
Okay, yeah.
And then upstairs there was a bar called Connect, and someone I knew was running an event up there. And I went down and walked in there, and he was in there as well. So fucking Jesus,
can't get away from you, mate.
So yeah, no, it's one of them. It is one of them scenes, and you know, there's always certain characters that you do run into, and it's just how you end up making friends with people. Like, it's just it really is a weird
definitely
one.
Yeah, I mean, I went to some of the events and stuff like that, the house stuff, but you know, my raving times was more, I was going to One Nation, stuff like that, Stratford Rex, and I battered it then, absolutely battered it. So, you know, when it a bit later on, after I was doing the house and stuff, I weren't really going out so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to go to Fridge Bar with Joe quite a lot.
Yeah.
I used to do the Sunday morning party, you know.
Really good parties there.
Yeah, it was good. And he used to play the tunes there. So like, I'd wake up, he'd pick me up, I'd meet him, we'd go down there, test the tunes in the venue, do you know what I mean? And yeah, we've done that. And then what did we do after Freeze Drive? Went on to Apollo 84, done a couple of bits on his label. Joey.
He was massive at that time as well.
Oh, yeah, he was killing it. Yeah, he absolutely smashed it. I think he's still doing stuff now. I think it's Twisted Fusion, his label now.
Okay.
But I think he's still doing stuff. But it's really mad. We've done a remix for Green Velvet. And I don't know how this came about, right? I'm not even joking. He emailed us and just said, I like your stuff, can you do a remix for me?
Jesus.
I was just like, what, Cashmere, Green Velvet? Like, what? Why is it emailing us? unbelievable. And done a remix for him. But then worked with Mark as well on Plus Recordings, done some stuff with him.
Yep.
And that's where I started going. Joe was like, me and Joe like the more bumpy stuff, but I started going a bit darker, doing that kind of stuff with Mark.
Yeah, because a lot of your other stuff was still quite garage influenced, sort of that,
definitely. Yeah.
That back to 95 sound, wasn't it? The sound that we all love.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
But more housey vibe. But then I started liking the darker stuff. I remember done an EP with Mark. Joe's like, no, I don't want my name on that. It's too dark. It's too dark. I think it was really exciting times then for the music, because it's all quite new. It's all, branching off different sort of styles and stuff like that. And when it comes to music, anything that's new, fresh, exciting, I'm on it. Do you know what I mean? I love it.
Yeah.
Some people are going, your garage 1 minute, your house another, your jungle another minute. I just do what I enjoy and what I love. Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of more people should do that, really.
Mate, music's music, and at the end of the day, I had this conversation with Henny, and I've spoken to Scott Diaz. I had Scott Diaz on the podcast, and we had a conversation about it.
Yeah, it's good.
We had a really good chat about it, and a lot of other people that I've spoken to as well. For me, it's all about like, does the music have soul, and does it have a pair of bollocks? Like, if it's got them things, then I'm game. Like, my first love will probably always be soulful house, but the more disco sort of side of things, as opposed to the Afro side of things. But I love them both. And then obviously, like old school funky house, deep house, like obviously classic garage, like that's my sound. But like, that doesn't mean to say that, bruv, I've gone and played at parties and smashed reggae sets. I've gone and played 80s sets. I've got 80s mixing out there.
I'm a massive reggae fan. Love reggae.
Massive reggae fan. There's literally, like, you can't tell me nothing. If I want to go, when I've played at Notting Hill Carnival and I'm mixing reggae and everything else, like, you can't tell me fuck all. And I'm mixing bashment, I'm mixing some soca, I'll do whatever. Yeah. You can't tell me nothing about fucking you're a garage DJ, you're a house DJ. Fuck off. Like, I'm a DJ, innit? I play I play what the people want, innit? Come on.
Music, I think, any type of genre of music, whether it be reggae, drum and bass, garage, house, whatever, I just love to dig deep. I like the cream of the crop of that genre. Do you know what I mean? When it comes to like garage,
hidden gems as well. You got to
hidden gems. Oh, I love the hidden gems. Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. What I don't like, I can't, is like when you hear like the same cheesy garage tunes, and if you're going to play a particular type of music, dig deep and get the fucking best tunes you can, ones that people don't play so much. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
When you hear the same old fucking tunes, man, it drives me mad.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about DJs like Joe Old School, is like, he would not play anything that someone else is already playing. Like, he will dig deep and he will pull out stuff, and you'll be like, right, like, that's a banger. What is that? And it might even be something that you heard 10 years ago. You've forgotten about it, but he ain't forgotten about it. So there's DJs like that I will always pay attention to, and it's something I try and do myself, because again, I'm the same, mate. Like, the amount of time you go to these like garage festivals or this festival, that's like, I won't name brands and slag people off, but it's like, I don't enjoy it, because I'm like, I don't want to hear sorry flowers and it's the way 15 times in a day. I just can't do it. Like, if I'm going,
that's me and you, babe. It works for their brand, then if it works for their brand, and that's your brand and how you work, and that's what you play. People come for that. That's brilliant, But it's for you and for me personally. It's just not for me.
Yeah, I just think DJs just need to have a little bit more of a set of bollocks on them and actually branch out, as opposed to playing the same fucking 15 tunes. It's one thing that I thought. So around the time me and you were on Image, like, they did that whole UK garage revival thing. And they had all these meetings and everyone got together and did stuff, and it was around that time that I started getting myself into a little bit of trouble with a few people, because I'd open my mouth about it, and I used to sit there and say to these people like, but I used to sit and say to these people like, this is bollocks. Like, you're all sitting around having these meetings, and all you're doing is trying to keep each other booked. That's all you're doing. This isn't anything to do with pushing the music forward. And I'll tell you how I know that, because the people at that time, it's a little bit different now. I think they've learned their lesson. But at that time, the people that were making good new garage music were getting fucking ignored, mate. Like, they were getting fully ignored. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, for me, it was just a question of same old, same old, same old. Like, and I just didn't want to hear it. And part of that it did, like, it took the shine off of a lot for me. But then it's weird because out of that, I sort of got turned on. I was already playing house anyway, but I got fully turned on to that new deep tech sound, like the Mark Radford style that came out.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, for me, if garage had gone in the direction it should have gone with new fresh music and people doing stuff different, I might have gone that way. But as that new scene came out, call it a bandwagon jump, whatever you want to fucking call it,
Yeah.
that
So
was
what?
exciting, bruv.
Yeah, of course.
That audio rehab sound was exciting.
No, without a doubt. Absolutely smashed it. I mean, yeah, I was so into it. I remember I used to listen to Mark's show all the time and just like hearing the new tunes and who's doing what. And it's brilliant music. I mean, I still listen to Mark's show sometimes now. I'll put it on the recordings. It's on House FM nowadays. So see what's going on. But at the time then, it was just like, yeah, it was something else.
Yeah, he really was pushing it. And it's one of them situations where he was the figurehead of that scene. Like there was no one you associated with it more than him. And it wasn't necessarily just a UK thing, because you had a lot of producers from like Europe. A lot of people's stuff was getting played. Like I don't even know where Solomon's from, but I don't think he's from the UK. Like he was a big part of that sound, and Finna Basson and all of these other producers that, you know, Lewis Leon, The Mechanism, all these different producers. A lot of them ain't even from here.
No.
We just ripped off sound that was coming from Europe, but we were producing stuff like that over here as well. And mate, that whole scene, I can't stress it enough. Like for anyone who missed that house sound that started around, you know, 2011. I mean, I think one that really kicked it off around that time was Serious People. I think the track Serious People.
Tune. Yeah,
I think
that
for me, like changed the game in a big way. And the mad thing about that tune is it was a couple of UK funky bods that made it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, who is it? Is it Luke Laurel as part of it?
Luke Laurel. Okay. Yeah.
Luke Laurel is Fluke's crazy cousins.
Yeah.
And also Fluke's, who made a load of grime stuff like Wifey Rhythm and tunes like that with Tiny Temper. And Verse is obviously MC Versatile.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Errol Reed is Paleface, who's also the other half of Crazy Cousins.
Yeah.
So like all under different names, but it was Crazy Cousins by another name. Do you know what I mean? And it was like they saw that the UK funky thing was dead, and they had this new, deeper sound. What can we do with it? Oh, we'll go under our real names, which everyone in house then went and did. But yeah, that tune for me was a trendsetter. Different gravy.
There's a big scene, man. It really took off massively. I mean, I don't know how strong the scene is now. I know it's still going. But some of the tunes, there's do you remember the tune? I Made You Look.
Yeah.
Who done that again? I can't remember.
That was Hugo Massey. Night Shift.
Hugo Massey. Hugo Massey used to love his productions. I always hear his tunes and go, yeah. He used to make some different tunes, that guy.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think Night Shift was the original, but the one that blew up was Hugo's remix.
Yeah, he was bad. Always liked his production, man. It's always a bit different. Do you know what I mean? Stuck up for everyone else. He was brilliant, man. Really
good. We've actually got a couple of his tracks out. Obviously, like me and Eamon still technically own Definition Audio. We've got some of Hugo Massey and stuff on there. And I've done a radio show, Syap from Cuff and Audio Rehab.
Oh yeah.
He was from France. He came over to play at Audio Rehab, and before we went there that night, I'd done a radio show with Night Shift, Hugo Massey and Syap from Cuff. And yeah, we were all in the studio on flight, just sweating our bollocks off. But yeah, no, really wicked radio show that night. And that was even as late as 2014. And them boys were still making ridiculous music at that time.
Yeah, there was a lot of good music back then. I think it got a bit, it's like any music, isn't it? You know, if it blows up, people jump on it, you know, and it is what it is. If someone enjoys it, you're going to get into it, aren't you? Yeah. But then it gets over fluctuated. A lot of people jump on it and the sound quality, a lot of crap comes out and it just sort of fizzes out a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it ran its course a little bit towards like 2014, 2015. You had a lot of people that were making it sort of went a little bit more commercial, bumpy sound, and they went and blew up. And, you know, a few other people still did try and sort of stick to it, but then it kind of just became a little bit monotonous, and it was that tech house sound. And for me, that was like, you know, some of it's really, really good and clever, but then a lot of the rest of it is just like the same random monotonous and then like I remember I was in Amnesia in Ibiza, and I won't say the name of the event, but some DJ was playing, and they were quite a well-known DJ.
Mm.
It was almost like they were just playing one continuous tech house tune for about 30 or 40 minutes. But the difference on every tune is like on the third bar, there'd be like an old school sample, and then it just dropped straight back into the same. It was like, it was all different. There was slight differences, but it's okay. So you've got this rolling bass line, and all of a sudden it'll go ba-da-ba-bum, ba-da-ba-dum, like the old day. And then it would just go straight back into and then it would carry on, and it would carry on, and it would go like, I don't know, it'd be like like a Show Me Love sample, and then it would go straight back into the boring tech stuff. And it's like, is that all this music is like little random shitty samples of classic house over some dodgy monotonous bass line? And it was just I fell out of love with it by then. I just couldn't part with it anymore.
What did you think about Beeford? Did you like it? Do you think it was any good?
Do you know what? I should have gone. I only went in 2017 or 18. I never went when I was younger, for various different reasons. But I should have gone when I was a lot younger because I didn't enjoy it.
I didn't enjoy it when I went.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but I'm now looking, I'm more like, I should come here for a nice chilled beach holiday next time.
Mate, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place.
Beautiful, yeah. I mean, I went to Space then. It's all right. It's just all the commercial tunes and all that there. But I didn't really rate it. But when I speak to other mates who like play more Romanian house, minimal house,
they're
like, mate, it's a different side to the island. Do you know what I mean? You just haven't seen it. Do you know what I mean? So
we went out there for. Do you remember my mate Greg Brazil?
Yeah.
He used to play on a Sunday. It was his 40th a couple of years ago. Sorry, mate, to expose your age. But yeah, it was his 40th birthday, and we had a villa out there. 10 of us went, me, Eamon, a couple of other bods, and we went out there, and I had a better time at the villa. We had like a controller at the villa with just some tunes, laptop, couple of KRKs, and we had it set up. We had it set up next to the pool, and I had a better time DJing there while the 10 of us had a barbecue than I did going anywhere else. It was like, for me, the best time we had was probably, we had a massive table at Cafe Mambo, and literally we just sat there all night. Robin Schultz was playing, a couple of other people were playing. It was really good. Bumped into Smokey B randomly, was there with his missus just walking past. I've known them two for years.
As you do.
Yeah, that was just like literally random. Ran into quite a few people out there actually, but yeah, we were just, that was for me was the best thing. But that was because it was like friends who were as tight as family, all sitting around having dinner. Ibiza sunset, good music, like that was it for me. The rest of it, I could have left it. Amnesia was all right. Like as a club, it's an amazing club. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course, that's right.
I'm not sitting there saying, "Oh no, I've been to better." No, it's a fucking brilliant venue. But within 10 minutes of being in there, some geezer in a fucking bum bag and a vest has come over to me. Yo, blood, take a photo of me and my bridge. And I'm like, oh my God, like fucking, literally, am I still in the ends? What's going on? So there was that. And then I only really went, I won't say whose event it was, but I only really went because one of my work colleagues was going. And I said I'd go along and see her and her mates. So me and Eamon, we literally, everyone done Mambo. We went back to the villa, and our villa was 10 minutes from Amnesia. It was literally on the same road. So like, it just, we came out of there and just literally parked up at Amnesia, jumped in there, went in. We were in there for 2 hours tops, spoke to a few people, said hello to a couple of bods, and then just fucked off. But it was good that we went and did it. And it was just
it's an experience, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's an experience.
What done me was we went to like, I love disco music and I love soulful music and all that kind of stuff. And obviously Glitterbox blew up a few years ago. And they had their residency when we went. They had their residency at High, which used to be Space. I never got to go to Space because it closed down the year before we went, but we went there. We were really excited. We'd been to a couple of Glitterboxes. We'd done my 30th birthday a few months before that at Glitterbox. And
what are they saying? Any good? I've never been to Glitterbox.
Fucking amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, I mean, now it's probably oversaturated and it's just too much. I mean, literally, we went in 2017 and it had not quite peaked. But we went to one at Ministry and it was best night ever. Like, the music's incredible, the DJs that they book are always on point. You know, they've got like Dimitri from Paris and people like that, Purple Disco Machine, and just loads of really, really good house/disco DJs who play proper music. Melvo Baptiste, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just such a really, and it's really inclusive. You know, it's like a lot of gay people there, drag queens there, fucking people dressed up in massive disco wigs. Like, it's a riot. Like, it really is good. And it makes for such a great night. But yeah, we went to High and Ibiza for Glitterbox. Not only was the queue 17 miles long, which is, you know, a given, but we got in and you couldn't move in there. It was so oversold. Like, you literally spent half of the night in the smoking area because it was the only place you could fucking breathe, ironically enough. And yeah, we went into the second room and just stayed in there because you could actually move around a little bit. But in the main room, I mean, I've got videos of still on my phone and on my laptop now from that night. And it's like, in the main room, literally, you just can't move. It's just absolute, like, everyone's like that. You're bumping into people. It's very touristy. It's a very like Towie crowd. Like, if you're going and you've got a couple of grand to spend on a table out of the way of that, like, that's great. But I don't really go to clubs for that.
Nah, not at all.
You know what I mean?
It's very much when I went, it was like, I went to beach there and all the parties there. And it's like, you know, little shorts on, champagne. It's all like very showy.
Yeah.
I'm there with fucking white gut out. Like, it's just, it's very showy to me down there when I went anyway. Yeah. But obviously, you know, I'm sure there's another side. I'm sure there's really good places. So maybe another time we'll go over there.
Mate, I'd go back for a holiday anyway, and maybe chuck in a couple of clubs if there was a particular night or a particular concert or something that I wanted to, but I wouldn't go there just for the sake of going there.
No, definitely not for me.
We did do a lot of people who listen will know what this is, but Esvedra at sunset, when you drive up into the mountains and that, and you watch the sunset up there, that was literally our last night before our flight. We drove, because we all had like hire cars and that, drove up into the mountains and like a convoy of us, and just watched the sunset together with a couple of bottles of prosecco on the cliff edge and that. Like, that was nice. You know what I mean? But that was like,
of course, that
was the end of the holiday, and then we all had to go and drop the cars back and fuck off to the airport. But that was it was a good trip, but it was a good trip because of the people we were with. We could have done that in Mallorca for 50 quid each. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly that. Yeah, I know the prices, they're ridiculous, aren't they?
Oh, mate,
crazy.
I remember I went there and I paid for the cab from the villa down to High. And when I got into the venue, because the cab was like 25 euros or something, they weren't expensive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I got in there and everyone was like, "Oh, Jay, you paid for the cab, so I'll buy you the first drink." And I'm like, "Yeah, all right." One drink was the cab fare.
Yeah, I know, it's madness, mate.
It was like 18 euros for a fucking Heineken, and I was like, keep paying back my cab fare, every single one of you. Yeah. No, it's a fucking nightmare out there. It really is. But getting back into the music side of things. So obviously production's coming out on Plus Recordings, which was like the sister label of Audio Rehab, and, you know, doing some work with Mark and stuff around this sort of time. We're talking 2013, 2014.
Yeah, about that. About that.
Was the next radio station that you jumped on, did that end up being Flex?
Yes, went on Flex. I went back on Flex, and I was there for a good long time, actually. But I sort of switched over a lot. I mean, I was doing the house thing, the deep sort of tech house sound. But I'd always throw in I might do a 95 garage set as well sometimes. You know, I was always mixing up. Even sometimes I do like an 80s show with who else I do it with? Culture, MC Culture.
Okay.
He used to come and I used to mix it up. Do you know what I mean? Because it's all right being, playing a certain thing, a certain music, but I like sometimes just like to do a show, and just play random stuff. Why not? So I just went back on Flex, played on there. And then I've known Cole, who owns it for a long, long time anyway. I know his brother really well from the same sort of areas. And then sort of got in and started just doing a bit of work there, really helping out. As I said earlier, doing the recordings. Big up Penny G, you know how long that is, mate. Bloody hell. You've got to cut all them shows throughout the week, chop them all up, upload them to the server, do that kind of thing. And just helping out, really, bits and bobs. And then,
I remember the drama where we started, because obviously I was on flight at the same sort of time, and I
Mm,
remember the drama with a couple of us trying to get a SoundCloud together just to put up uploaded
yeah,
shows, and
yeah,
having conversations among us about who could actually record stuff from home, who could actually get shows recorded, and then
mm,
this DJ saying, "Oh well, I can do this one and that one, but I can't do like," and yeah, so just literally trying to sit there,
mate.
record people's shows and get them uploaded every week was just like fucking hell.
Mate, it's fucking long. Henny will vouch for this. Henny used to do it as well. Well, Henny was the first one to do it. I started helping him, and we do it between each other. But mate, it could be like I could sit there for probably like to do a whole week. I might be there for like 6, 7, 8 hours every week. It's a lot of work, but it was worth it. Just trying to make it as professional as you can.
Yeah.
And I think little things like that, and it goes a long way, especially for the DJs. They're paying their money in to go on the station.
Yep.
So you're giving back something to them as well. What they're getting for their money, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then podcasts, boy, they were long. That was so long.
It is a mission. Trust me. This just doing this one every week's fucking long enough, mate.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's not even the actual like recording side of things. Like sitting and having these conversations and catching up with old mates and that is great, but it's like saving YouTube videos, like, and just processing everything and crushing it down to fit it on YouTube. It's like,
How long does it take to upload them?
uploading doesn't take long at all. As long as your internet's decent, it's not too bad at all. Even Henny's one, which is like 3.5 hours long,
Yeah.
like didn't take. Yeah, big up Henny.
Yeah, big up Henny.
Mate, the messages I've had, like literally from other people that I've spoken to. Obviously, I'm, full disclosure, I'm back to back recording episodes tonight. I'm doing another one after this, and the geezer I've got coming on next week. He said to me, "Yeah, he's like, I'm up for it. I don't mind doing it a bit later in the evening, but can't go on as long as fucking Henny did, bro." Jesus Christ! And I was
Mate,
like, "No,
Henny's the king of talking, mate. He can chat for England. Love Henny. Big up Henny, man."
But yeah, the process of uploading them is a piece of piss. I've got like a template of all of the links and everything. I could just whack that on there, boom, and it's done. And even like editing the video itself, I can edit stuff really quickly. I can edit audio really quickly. I've been doing it for years. But the actual, when I click save and it exports it to a file,
okay,
for whatever reason, that just takes like, and it can't be, I mean, my MacBook's quite old, but it's got like 8 gig of RAM and like a terabyte hard drive. It's not like a shit MacBook. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it should be quicker than it is, but yeah, for whatever reason, it can take like 2 hours just to save the fucking video. So,
that's
yeah,
before you go to bed, mate. That is,
mate. Literally, I will do it tonight. I'll get the MP3 uploaded onto Spotify and that before I go to bed, and I'll click the button, and then I'll just have to upload the YouTube tomorrow. Yeah. But yeah, so you're working on Flex, getting a lot of stuff done for them behind the scenes. What was the idea behind going legal? Obviously, I've heard it from a couple of different people's perspectives, but your name has come up as being instrumental in that process. What was it like for you, and what was it that made you sort of really want to get involved in the legalization procedure?
2 reasons, really. I mean, I was waiting to do it for the station, obviously, and I said to Carlos, I said, "Look, should I try and get us a license?" He was like, "Mate, if you want to do it, you want to have a try, go for it." And then it became for the station, but also it became a bit of a challenge as well for me, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. It became a bit of like, right, I'm going to prove everyone I can fucking do this. And that's probably what gave it a bit of a driving force behind it as well. And that was how it started. I just researching, finding out, it's not just a simple thing of, get the application, fill it out, whatnot, and I'll get on some more about that later. But it's also about the block. I mean, I had to battle with Wandsworth Council to get that block for ages. I mean, I think it took me about 3 months, of emails. So I remember contacting Wandsworth Council and got a generic email, whatever it was. You got to start somewhere. Asked them, I said, we're starting a community radio station. Like to use one of your blocks for our equipment. Blah, blah. Anyway, basic information about all. They basically turned around and went to me, "Oh no, sorry, don't do that kind of thing." And I was like,
Plus we've been kicking you cunts off that block for years.
Well, I didn't give no names. So okay. But then that, it was a bit of a kick in the teeth. I thought, fucking hell, like just blatantly just say, "No, we won't do that kind of thing." So I remember going to set up a meeting. Well, I say meeting, your local MPs have like a surgery.
Yep.
You go meet them. So Justin Greening, who was the MP of Wandsworth at the time, I had a meeting with her. She was brilliant. I got a big up Justin Greening MP. She was amazing. I mean, I spoke to her. I done like a little mini press pack showing what we was going to do, showed it to her. And she was so helpful. She goes, "Look, leave it with me. I'll contact Wandsworth Council, blah, blah, blah." And then as soon as I contacted them, doors opened, And there's like, right, we can do this, we can help you out. And there's a lot of battling about, access to get up there. Then there's a lot of technical stuff going on about. I think there's a couple of mobile providers up there. I'm not sure which ones. But then you've got the technical thing with them. You've got to send them all your paperwork, what you're doing up there. And it was long, man. It was really long. But I did enjoy it. It was an eye-opener, And it was good to beat Wandsworth Council. They weren't having it, but we've done them in the end. It was good.
It makes me laugh a lot. And I was talking to Dan about it both on and off the podcast, just about like the fact that block was getting used for pirate radio for so many years. And then in the end, like for him, he said it weren't really much different because he'd been up there so many fucking times at that point. It didn't matter.
I've been up there once, didn't like it. Well, I've not got a head for heights, mate. It's not a bit of me on that. I say I've got to big up all the people set up pirate radio stations, mate, because I say I've been on top of the Arndale blocks and I've been on top of Dontown and Flextown, whatever. And it's not a bit of me, mate. It's not a bit of me at all. So yeah, all you guys are set up, mate. Yeah, big up.
Yeah, but no, he was saying to me like, it weren't that different for him, but for me, there's just a sense of full circle, like poetic justice that ends up being the place that you come from. Much like Select UK have obviously applied and they've got a license and they should be launching on FM either this week or next week, I think sometime this month. And they're using the exact same block that was like their best block when they were a pirate. They managed to get permission to be on the exact same block. So it's like, for me, it's just hilarious. And it goes to show that all of that stuff about, it interferes with this and it interferes with that. No.
Nah, not at all. I don't know the ins and outs of all that, but it just all comes down to regulations, doesn't it? If you're not using British standard equipment, or that's what it boils down to. It's like you can't sell a TV unless they've got a British standard stamp on it. It's the same sort of thing. Just rules and regulations. They ain't fucking about no airplanes. No chance. Can't see it myself.
No, not at all. So yeah, obviously at the time you were talking to MPs, getting the forms all filled in and everything. Who else was involved in the procedure? Because Dan mentioned that you sort of had third party people come in as well and sort of helped you get things finalised.
Yeah, basically. So we had done the block, got all that sorted out, and then I got these guys in called the company called Radio People. David Duffy, the guy's name is. He's got two companies. He's got Radio People who help out with license applications and other stuff. And he's got another company called Viamux. And basically they got their own DAB multiplexes. So you can go on one of their DAB multiplexes around the country. I think up north, most of them. But they do license applications, yeah. So basically you give them a rough outline of the details, what music you're going to do, what percentages of music you're going to play, all the rest of it, a rough draft. And they just do it all for you, basically. Yeah. Anyone who's going to set up a station, I would recommend them. They was brilliant. And it's not too much money. It's not loads of money. And they know what Ofcom want to hear. They know what Ofcom want to see. So it's a massive advantage to use them. So yeah, I don't know if there's no shame in it. I mean, if the service is there and you think it's going to do you justice and help you get a license, why not use it? Yeah. You're not going to I'm not going to stand and go, I don't have a license myself, blah, blah, blah. Why would you say that? It's they smashed it anyway. They smashed it.
Yeah, but you were the one that went and hassled the MP though, which is probably the most important part, to be fair.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, she was brilliant.
Otherwise, as anyone who's listened to Dan's episode will know, you would have ended up on top of St Helier fucking hospital.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had a meeting at Ofcom as me, Carlos went, a guy called Roger, he's got Broadcast Warehouse, who passed away recently. Yeah. R.I.P. Roger. He came up there for a bit of technical guidance. And I can't remember exact issues, but there was like, right, we're not happy with this. Had to tweak a few things. And they're like, right, why don't you go here, St. Helier Hospital? He's like, nah, I'm going there, you're mad. Like, you know, you know, obviously they know the block, they've seen it, they know that they dealt with the computer system, do the coverage area. They're thinking they're going to take the piss up there. Do you know what I mean? Try and knock them down somewhere smaller. But we weren't having it. And yeah, we got on there. So happy days.
Yeah, mate, lovely. What was it like? So the procedure's done, everything's submitted, playing the waiting game. What was it like when you got the call? Do you remember? And who was the first person to hear?
I can't remember who's the first person, to be fair. It might have been Carlos, maybe, I think, probably. I can't remember. I don't think it was me. It was probably Carl. And we was actually at the old Flex Studios, Pirate Studios then. And when we heard, and I just remember there's a video flying back, Dan said about it. And it got all the champagne and all that, it was partying, you know, celebrating. And it was amazing, man. It just felt so good, you know, and to go from an idea to the battling with the council for the block, you know, all the other technical stuff we had to go through back and forth with other people. And it's just an amazing thing to do, man. It was brilliant. It was really good. But I think it was Carl who probably got the call first, yeah.
So do you remember how long the wait was before you guys actually went on? Did you have to go and build all the new studios and everything else before you could even start to come on?
No. We when we found out the license, we won it. Then we started looking for studios, because when you get the license, you don't have to come on air straight away. I think you get a year or 6 months, maybe. I can't quite remember. But got the license, we had to find a studio. I was looking for studio places to do it. And you know, it's like a lot of places go, what, music? No, not having music here. So it was a bit of a struggle. And then, you know, part of it as well, it's not just getting the license, it's building the bloody studios as well. You know, there's a lot of work went into it. And then there was me, Chrissy Breaks, you know, Dan, Chaos, the electricians, all that sort of work. Andy was helping out. Carl was obviously helping out. A few other people coming along. And it was literally just one big room. It was empty. Do you know what I mean? It was split into two, had all glass partitions, and it was a lot of work, man. And yeah, it was a lot. So looking for the studios, found the studio, building the studio, then kitting it out, and then going in there. And then we done our first test transmission, which was quite cool. I remember getting in Cole's car, he was driving about, seeing how far it would get. And yeah, it did done all right, mate. Got out well.
So in terms of obviously the studio, is it like Malden sort of area in it? Is it down that sort of way?
Malden, yeah. It's not the original one, as they've moved now.
Yeah.
The first one. But the first one we had to build from scratch. The new one, I don't think it was quite as like that. I think it's just kept as one big room. But the original one, yeah, there's a lot of work, man. A lot of work.
Yeah, I can imagine. Where was it when it was still Pirate? Because I remember when it was in that sort of shed that was in the garden. I don't know if you were there around them times.
I did play there, yeah. I did, yeah.
Because that was when I actually went on there. I was talking to Dan about it. Like, I actually went on there like 2009 when it first came back around. When it was still on 94.2. I actually went down to that particular studio. And then where was it after that? Was because I vaguely remember hearing that it was in South Wimbledon at this studio. It was owned by this geezer who, do you know what? It's mad, right? If you go back to this is what's a mad story. If you go back to episode 14 of the podcast, I was talking to my mate about a time where I said an offensive word in front of this fella who was quite a posh fella, who owned a couple of studios, and his daddy like basically paid for a lot of them. And I remember hearing a few years later from someone who knows him, he was like, "Oh yeah, he rents his studio out to that Flex FM lot now." Charlie, his name was the son.
Yeah, Charlie, man, he was a idiot. No, Charlie was all right. He was a bit of a.
I described him as one of them. I described him as one of them posh wankers that wears like the unbuttoned shirt and the leather trousers and walks around like he's a fucking rock star. Yeah, I mean, he used to tell a few fibs along the way. I used to hear sorts of stories from him. But it was his dad. He owns IMO Records. Yep.
So the IMO Records is upstairs. Flex were downstairs. Oh no, hang on, let me try to think now. No, because when originally it had like a downstairs all open, and it had like a little bar.
Yeah,
there
was an open area there, and that's
of
where
a bar, and then you went to the left.
yeah, we used to have like
That's where the studio was.
rehearsals down there, my mate's band, and then upstairs there was like an actual proper booth and everything else, and they used to record there because he had another gaff down Colliers Wood. Do you remember where they used to film the bill where the old Sunhill police station set?
Yeah.
He had another big studio down there as well. If you go back far enough on my Facebook, back to like 2007, 2008.
That's the one I'm talking about, the one by Sun Hill.
Yeah.
But that was good times there, man. Had some really good times down there, that studio. It was quite cool because it was like very relaxed there. And that's what I liked about it as a pirate. So, you know, I just roll down there, just pop down there, go, let me go, who's down there today? Like, pop down there. You might see someone you know just chilling out, just hanging about. It was just quite, it was nice. It was good, man. A lot of people were local to the studio as well. You know, Friday night, you might just go, I'll go listen to Statics, pop down there, whatever, have a couple of drinks, have a drink with Statics, have a laugh, have a chat. You know, and I think I miss that. I think that's really, really cool, man. You know, obviously you're not going to have that in a legal scenario. You can't have drinking in the studio and stuff like that. But I miss that. That's the best thing for me. I loved all that.
So that kind of leads me into, you know, the sort of the next stage of things for you. So when things are legal, you know, obviously previous guests have sort of grumbled a little bit about the way things changed and stuff like that. What was it like for you in terms of, you know, not only just change of location and you know, change of equipment and new studios and stuff, but the actual vibe in and of itself? How was the difference of going legal? Did you find it a little bit restrictive at first, or did that sort of come about a bit later?
I'm not being funny. When you're going from pirate to legal, it's always going to be a massive change. Even, you know, in terms of how the studios run, what can be done there and stuff like that, you know, it's always going to be a massive change. And I think, you know, it's weird. I mean, I even got caught up in it because when you go legal, you go, oh yeah, legal, got to be a bit more professional, a bit more legal route. And I got caught up in it. You know, I was playing with Becky doing a show. I started playing some fucking commercial shit. And you just get wrapped up in it. You think commercial, legal, and that's your mindset starts to change a bit. And you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that, you know, because you've got a legal station in your community, you can still play the most gutter music you want. It don't matter. But I think it's just a natural thing, you know, going legal, and you just start to think like that. It's just a natural thing. For me, it did anyway. It happens, and you know, it loses its vibe. Of course, it does, because you can't have 5-10 man in a studio having a laugh, having a giggle, and it just changes. It becomes more of a workplace, rather than, you know, somewhere you go and have fun. It's just the way it happens. That's the way it goes.
So, you know, I agree. It's something that I've always spoke about music in terms of like when it started to become like work. When it sort of killed all enthusiasm. For me, it was when I was running a label. Like when you're trying to work a 9 to 5 and DJ at weekends and do a fucking radio show every week and like running a label, and that, it was like, it just became a chore, bruv. Like, so, and I was working so much on music, but I wasn't earning the sort of money I would need to facilitate paying my bills. So if I could work
I'll be sitting in my pants, mate, if I done music for a living. Fucking hell.
This is it. So it's like, if you could, do you know what I mean? If you're presenting, you know, like a one extra show once a week, and you know you're getting a couple of grand an episode, all right, sweet, happy days. Like, but and then obviously your name's attached to that, and you're getting booked with that, and blah blah blah. But reality is, it's never really going to happen for the majority. I mean, it's like 1%ers that get that kind of money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
without a doubt.
In the rest of it, but yeah, when it becomes like a chore and when it becomes too much like work, it does kill it off for me. So yeah, and I completely appreciate what you're saying. For you, in terms of how long you stuck around, you know, how did things start to change, and what was behind the decision for you to sort of not really be involved anymore?
Well, there's a couple of things really. Playing on there, I had such a long break from playing on radio and stuff like that. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older I'm concentrating more on my day job, my work. I don't know what it is, but when I was playing, I just wasn't enjoying it. Simple as that. It just seemed like, oh, I've got to go and play my set now. Oh, fucking hell. Just wasn't enjoying it at all. And I don't know, it's just the whole vibe. It changes. It's too restricted. It becomes too, I don't know. It's just the fun becomes. It just goes out of it, man. It weren't fun for me no more. And I took about. I didn't work for about, I don't know, 8 months, a year maybe. I was solely doing the license stuff. I probably could have worked and done it at the same time, but it was been too much.
Yeah.
Didn't work. I was just doing pure radio stuff. And, at the beginning, you think, right, well, this could take off, could start maybe earning a living out of it. But the reality is, you're never going to earn a living out of community radio, really. I mean, it could be opportunity maybe to get a couple of quid here and there, maybe. But as for a living, it's never going to happen. So partly that was my choice as well. There's only so much you can do for free. Do you know what I mean? And also not enjoy playing. So that was really the reasons I left, really.
Yeah. So in terms of now, full circle, everything's sort of behind you in that sense with Flex. What are you up to now, and what have you got going on?
Well, I'm making drum and bass jungle now, back to my roots sort of stuff. Kind of working with a label, Aco Beats, owned by Stretch. Got to big up Pharrell Forrester for that. He brought me in on that one. So yeah, I'm doing sort of jungle stuff, 94 sort of vibe. Had a couple of releases, AKO, vinyl, just had something out on their 25 years album, which was amazing. So blessed for that. And just working on some jungle stuff, really old school vibe, and just not rushing it.
Yeah.
Back in the house days, I'd make a tune, send it out to everyone. Now I very much hold it back, quality control and just trying the thing, man. It's going all right. Got a few things lined up release wise, all vinyl as well, which is nice. And then, just thinking about maybe doing a couple of mixes, get back into a bit of DJing. No radio, nothing like that. Maybe just some mixes, put them out there,
Yeah.
And that's about it, mate, really. Just working on some beats.
So everything's come full circle, and you're sort of doing the most important thing with all of this stuff, in my opinion, which is enjoying it. Well,
definitely, yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, as soon as it starts becoming a chore, like you say, it's just no point. What is the point? I couldn't do a show every week now. I can't be asked.
Mate, honestly, as I said to you, I'm putting this together every week's a fucking chore and a half.
Mate, you're doing well. I've really enjoyed them. It's so nice to you get podcasts, they go, I want to get big, massive guests on. Everyone's a big guest within their own right, but it's been nice to see people like Mr. E. I ain't spoke to him a long, long time.
Yeah.
Big up Mr. E. Henny, Outlaw, other people. It's so nice to see, man. Really enjoyed them.
Nah, mate, it's been a pleasure doing them. And yeah, I mean, some of the guests I've had on, some of them are literally, like you say, big names in their own right. But yeah, I've had random people on, like, as I say, episode 14 is one of my favorites. It's me and my mate Raf. We literally just sat in my room with a couple of mics chatting shit for 2 hours. It was just great. It was just a really, really great show, and really, really enjoyable. But yeah, bigging up the likes of Brass Tooth and Scott Diaz and others that have come on. But a big part of it is pirate radio, underground radio, and different things and different events where people have done things like the transition of being legal with Flex and things like that. And obviously you were part of it. So I'd like to say thank you for coming on, mate. And
thank you, mate.
Really, really nice to catch up with you and sort of hear the full story of everything you've had going on, and little trip down memory lane and some IB for opinions that might be unpopular among some listeners. But
ole.
Honestly, when I came back, I went out about, I don't know, when was it? It was closing parties. We were out there, so it was like end of September, early October, and it was around Christmas time. I was out with a couple of people. And like this one girl said to me, like, oh yeah, no, blah, blah, blah. How was IB for? I was like, yeah, it was all right. And then she's like, how much did you spend? I said, I came back with about £600-700 like, out of what I budgeted. You know what I mean? I took X amount out there, and she's like, how did you come back with money? And I'm like, A, because I'm not a fucking idiot. Like, and B, because like it ain't that great. She was
Nah,
like,
it's not.
what do you mean? I spend like £2,000 when I go out there. I'm like, that's because you're a fucking twat.
Nah, sod that, man. £2,000 better thing to spending £2,000 on.
Do you know what I mean? Like literally,
Yeah.
I sat there and I thought about it, and it's literally like what I spent in one night in Ibiza. A year and a half later, I ended up spending that same amount on an entire trip to Budapest with my missus, flights, hotels, spending money, everything from what I spent on one night in Ibiza. Do you know what I
Crazy.
mean?
Do you think there'll be any new stations come about in London? Is anything coming about and popping up?
There's something that you might know about and I might know about, but we can't talk about too much. So we'll talk about that when I press stop on the recording. But there's definitely something popping, even if it is just even if it is just going to be a flash in the pan. But I don't know. In terms of other people achieving stuff, Selector going legal, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, big up Select for that, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about that, and it is good that that's happened. Hopefully, they stay a little bit more true to roots than others that have come before them.
I hope so. It's a shame that stations have to change to get a license.
Yeah,
no need for it. Don't need to.
No, you've got there's a new community station, Croydon FM 97.8. They've come out now.
Okay.
They seem to be doing all right. They've launched. They've got a few DJs on there. Yeah,
I don't think they're giving out any more community licenses, FM, in London no more.
They've done a couple. They did one for Croydon. I think there's another one from Croydon as well. I can't remember the name of it. But it's also going to be, they're going to be coming off the same block as Represent. I don't know if Represent have only got a 10-year license or if they've got an extension, but they might be up for renewal soon as well. Who knows? But then you've got, as I say, Select. They're going to be coming from, well, it's public knowledge. They're coming from Crystal Palace as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Select thing. There's a couple of pirate stations that sort of seem to be on and off of the dial quite a bit, but you've also just got the same old staples that are still on. I mean, Playback. I've got a big up Mr. E. He's actually going to be doing some shows on Playback 105.6. So people have to listen out for that, Wednesdays 2 till 4. So yeah, I can break that news on the podcast. That's official. He's going to be doing a couple of shows on there, and then we'll see what happens with that. So you might end up hearing a special guest on there. Who knows? Playback's a decent station. Obviously, Dance, like my old home, 96.1 is still on. Vision are sort of there or thereabouts. I think Point Blank have actually got a DAB license now as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get emails from Ofcom, like updates and stuff like that still. I've still got an interest in it, And I think there's going to be around for London DAB next summer, maybe.
Yeah, there's quite a few. There's quite a few that have had it already. As I say, Point Blank have jumped on. There was other talk of a couple of jungle stations. Rude FM even maybe might be jumping on DAB as well.
Oh, well, the DSP, the local ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just London wide sort of thing. So obviously you've got that other station. Is it React? Down in Surrey, like they've obviously got theirs. So there's people that are following in their footsteps. And I think the geezer that runs React, I think he was an original part of Point Blank. So I don't know if there's still a connection there as well. But yeah, no, there's a lot of movement going on. Obviously, everyone's still got their streams and that, like Ricky D. I don't think
you need it, man. You don't need. I mean, as far as I don't think you need FM or DAB really. I mean, these days you don't.
Not really.
I think that's like more of like a smaller attachment now. When it used to be the main part.
Yeah,
I think now it's just like, I've got to have FM. These days, I don't think you need it for the internet, man. We really don't.
It's good. It's good that I do like the fact that some people are clinging on to it. Some of them do it really well. On top radio, that they're fucking killing it. Their FM signal's always strong. Went past their rig again the other day, funnily enough. Absolute cheeky bastards where they've got theirs. But yeah, like there's a few stations there's other stations that are always going to have it. But yeah, I mean, so many stations now probably get more listeners online. Like almost certainly, it's only really good for commuters, for people who don't have unlimited data to plug their phone into their car or Bluetooth or whatever in their motor, that might still use the FM. Other than that, mate, like it is a little bit redundant. I still love it though. I still love being able to flip through the dial. I've noticed since Select have gone, there's like a new sort of soul station on 99.3 It's been a bit on and off, but that's been good. There's another station on 97.1 that plays like soul and rare groove and stuff as well that I really enjoy. So yeah, I do like the fact that different things do still keep popping up and people are still keeping it alive. I have always said that, you know, when that Euro Millions comes in for me finally, I'll be making a couple of calls and sticking something on. I don't care if it lasts.
You and all.
I don't care if it lasts or it doesn't. But yeah, I'd still, you know, as I say, and there is something that will be happening at some point that people on the podcast will be hearing about. But yeah, man, I like the fact that people are still doing it, but yeah, it is kind of dying. And it is almost on its very last legs. But maximum love to everyone who's still trying to keep it alive.
Definitely, yeah. Oh yeah.
It's fucking graft these days, man. I mean, a lot of the time it's council now as well. It ain't even Ofcom and DTI, it's the actual councils that are taking responsibility for it, and they just ain't having it. Ones are for the worst anyway, but
I know.
But mate, no, thank you for telling the story. Thank you for sharing the experience.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Now, where can people check out all of your latest music and releases?
Best place to go, AKO Beats, really. I mean, I produce under the name Shay now. So I've got a few tracks out with them. And just go on to AKO Beats website, really. Got some new bits coming out. I think I've got another 1 or 2 this year as well with them. So I'm just working exclusive with him at the moment. So yeah, check out AKO Beats, Shay, 25-year album. Check out that track on there. And there's a couple of others as well. I don't know if another alias, but I can't say about them. So
fair enough. Well, mate, it's been a pleasure and a privilege. Episode 19 of the Over the Hill podcast is a wrap. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, follow on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, tune in, Google, Castbox, all the usual places. Get in touch with the show, the Over the Hill podcast at gmail.com. So yeah, did I say 19? It's episode 20. Episode 20 with man like Max Britton, aka Shay. And we are over and out. Nice one, mate. Peace.
Nice one. Take care.